Leader of the Opposition.
More administrative and bureaucratic mumbo-jumbo to conceal his inaction. It is now required that you register if you lobby for the food bank, but it is not required to register if you do paid work on behalf of a foreign dictatorship to influence Canadian politics. But let's move over to police stations. His public safety minister claimed that all Beijing's police stations have been closed. Today, 2 of those police stations reportedly said, no, they're open, they're operating right here in Canada. Why is the Prime Minister allowing a foreign dictatorship to run police stations on our soil?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
You know, the RCMP is taking action against these foreign police stations. This is something we need to see, and I've tasked the Minister to make sure that it gets done.
Prime Minister is running out of ministers to hide behind. While he sits there and smirks, we have a country that is under foreign influence by a dictatorship that has actually opened police stations in this country. Now, according to a report just out today, there are 2 police stations run by Beijing operating in Montreal as we speak. Will the Prime Minister stand up now and tell us how he will close down these police stations?
The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I assure the Conservative leader and all members in this chamber that the RCMP have taken concrete action to disrupt and shut down police stations, and if more open up, they will remain vigilant and do the work. And Mr. Speaker, they will do that underpinned by the investments which are earmarked in Budget 2023, which, again, the Conservatives have said, without even reading the document, that they will oppose. So if they're really interested in protecting Canadians from foreign interference, and that's something we should all be united behind, then they should support Budget 2023.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know why the Prime Minister is so afraid to stand up. Maybe it's because he's ashamed that he did absolutely nothing for 2 years after knowing that a Canadian MP was threatened by a foreign dictatorship. He didn't even send the offending diplomat home, and now he's been exposed for it. Then he puts up a whole myriad of ministers to hide behind, one of whom claimed before that the Chinese police stations were closed, and we learned now that they are open. Wow. Given that we can't believe his minister, why doesn't the Prime Minister stand up and speak for himself? When will he close these stations?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, of course, as a leader. Mr. Speaker, as a leader of the opposition well knows, because he was here, the Prime Minister stood in his place and answered 5 times those questions. The ministers of this House also answer questions. And let me say, Mr. Speaker, without equivocation, that the attacks that are taking place on democracy, be it by Russia, be it by China, by any authoritarian regime, are something that we must stand in unison against, Mr. Speaker. That the attack on one member of this democratic House is an attack on every single one of us. We cannot direct, Mr. Speaker, our security and intelligence, but we can sure stand up for democracy.
L'honorable député.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Public Security, yes, him again, confirmed last Thursday before a parliamentary committee that illegal Chinese police stations in Brossard and Montreal had been closed. But the problem with the minister's statement is that it's false. They are still active. In fact, those in charge of these 2 Chinese police stations claim that they have not received any request from the RCMP to shut the stations down. They say that they're operating business as usual. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals are seriously not serious about Chinese interference, which is a serious, serious problem. Can the Prime Minister tell us the truth and confirm that the public security minister, in fact, misled this House? The Honourable Public Safety Minister. Mr. Speaker, as I explained to my colleague, The RCMP is taking tangible action to deal with the alleged Chinese police stations. The RCMP is awaiting further orders, ready to take action. The RCMP will remain vigilant on this matter. More importantly, $49 million has been earmarked in the 2023 budget. I hope that my colleague and all his Conservative colleagues will support the budget.
Mr. Speaker, once again, the Public Safety Minister is misleading the House. He claimed that the RCMP had taken decisive actions to shut down all Beijing-funded police stations. Yet, contrary to this claim, 2 Montreal community groups under investigation for holding secret Chinese government police stations say they continue to operate normally with no closure requests from the RCMP. Why is this minister misleading Canadians, and why won't he shut these stations down?
The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, it is the quality of that question that betrays the member opposite's understanding of what we do in elected government and what our police agencies do, which is operationally independent. And it is astonishing to me that the member opposite does not understand that. The RCMP have been clear that when there have been activities associated with police stations that they have taken concrete action, and if more pop up, our expectation is that they will do so backed by the investments, the record investments that this government has put in to keeping our community safe.
Grant.
Speaker, our democracy is at stake. The Public Safety Minister looked Canadians in the eyes and claimed that decisive action had been taken to shut all of these stations down. This minister has a significant credibility deficit. He has misled Canadians in the past and continues to do so today. When will this minister finally stand up, prioritize the safety of Canadians, stop mocking the Conservatives, and shut these stations down?
The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, we take this issue very seriously, which is why the RCMP have been on top of it, providing public updates to everyone around the actions they are taking to disrupt any foreign interference which may be affiliated with these so-called police stations. And obviously, if there are more threats along these lines, our expectation is that they will do so. But they will do so in a manner that is respectful of operational independence, and it is quite shocking to me that at this stage in the member opposite's career that he doesn't understand that important democratic principle.
The Honourable Député.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, on our side, we are talking about the facts. Here's the fact. 2 months ago, the RCMP announced that there were 2 police stations being operated by Beijing, one in Brossard, one in Montreal. Another fact, the minister said very clearly that he would take all necessary action to put an end to hostile operations and activities in Canada. Third fact, the public safety minister said in committee on Thursday last week that Beijing's police stations here were closed. Why is the Minister of Public Safety misleading Canadians? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, with all due respect, my colleague should read the updates and briefings provided by the RCMP. The RCMP has indicated that it is taking concrete action to deal with these so-called police stations run by Beijing. They will remain vigilant, the RCMP, with the assistance of investments made by our government. The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Haute-Saint-Charles. But, Mr. Speaker, that's the problem. The Minister of Public Safety is explaining to us what happens with public security in Canada. The RCMP says one thing, the minister says something else. Then the minister comes back and says, well, I don't lead the RCMP. Yes, but he's the minister responsible for public safety. Canadians need to know the truth. Are the Beijing-run police stations in Canada closed or not? Or are they still open, like we heard on Monday? What's the truth? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, as I have already explained many times, the RCMP is taking tangible action to deal with the operations of these so-called Beijing-run police stations. This is the issue that we have addressed through investments and resources, which are already there in the 2023 budget. I hope the Conservatives will support our budget, which is very important and will help support Canadians.